All right, good afternoon. Let's call the Calaveras County Water District meeting of September 22nd to order. It is 1:10. And let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can we have the roll call?
Director Underhill,
Here.
Director Ratterman,
Here.
Director Thomas,
Here.
Director Cicada,
Here.
and President Davidson is absent.
All right, public comment. At this time, members of the public may address the board on any non-agendized item. The public is encouraged to work through staff to place items on the agenda for board consideration. No action can be taken on matters not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Do we have any public comment? No. Seeing none. Item number 3, consent agenda. The following items are expected to be routine, non-controversial. Items will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member may request that any item be removed for later discussion. 3A, it'll be report on the monthly investment transactions for August of 21. And Region 3 election ballot for the Association of California Water Agencies.
To move for acceptance.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Do we need to do roll call or am I just doing a yay and nay kind of a thing?
I just have a quick question. Is it,
Go ahead, Russ.
I just want to ask Rebecca a question on 3A. Pull 3A and vote 70.
So rescind that motion. Do we have to rescind the motion or no?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, let's vote on 3A.
Oh,
That's the one I want to pull.
Oh,
all right. So let's rescind his motion. We will.
okay, I make a
pull
motion
3A.
that we approve 3B.
No, I'll go.
Second. And again, Rebecca, am I doing a roll call vote or are you just asking the board?
These can do a roll call. Or.
You guys tell me.
Since there's
Just
not
poll
a-
the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Seeing none. 3B.
Rebecca, I
Right.
apologize. I probably have heard the answer to this question before, but if I did, I forgot. We've made this, I think it's a wonderful decision to start using Chandler instead of depending on Leif. But I don't recall ever knowing for sure whether there is a point at which, do we pay Chandler a consulting fee or these interest rates that are reported here, are they net of administration fees?
It's net.
Okay.
Of administrative fees. So, when we were first starting, because we had that first kind of, allotment to them, we did get, they send us they send us an invoice on a monthly basis, but it's always, we'll book that as a reduction to our overall investment returns on a monthly basis.
Okay.
So that way it's just kind of clear that that's what we're doing. It's pretty inexpensive. I want to say I think 1 month it was like $600 for the month. 1 month it was like $750 for the month.
All right. Well, I was hoping that was the way it was being managed, and I have no further questions.
Anyone else? All right, we'll take the vote. All those in favor?
We need a
We
motion.
need a motion. I move that we approve 3A.
Second.
Now may we take the vote? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those,
Do you have to call for public comment on this now that it's been pulled, or just let it
I don't
go?
so before we take this vote, is there any public comment? Seeing none. And the vote is all those in favor
Aye.
and those opposed? Passes. All right, looks like we'll be going into a public hearing. Open the public hearing regarding amending ordinance 2020-01, establishing application of service rates and billing quotes. Do we have any public comment?
No, excuse me. You do the board first before you do the public comment.
You let that staff member, or staff report.
Well, Rebecca?
Okay. Okay, so this is just kind of finishing up that rules and regulations, Article 3, that the board approved all the changes that we made to it. What we identified in going through that enormous package of information is that there were two ordinances. So most everything within Article 3 was established on various resolutions. And so the action that the board took at the last meeting was a consolidation of all of those resolutions that we were making changes on the respective pieces of the policy. But there were two pieces that we couldn't make those changes on at that time because they were, the authority was under two different ordinances. And in going through looking at the fees, what we also identified is when ordinance 2006, what was it? 2006-03 was established, it didn't take into consideration ordinance 2003-01. And so when the policy was written, the only piece that it really referred to what had to do with ordinance 2006-03. And 2003-01 is just kind of like out off in the distance. And staff knew about it. We knew about the fee incorporated in there. And specifically, one of the fees has to do with those cost to serves where there are laterals, where there is service available. And one of the fees has to do with service cost to serves where there is no service available. There are no laterals in the ground. And those are more complicated to put together. And so the fee really needs to be higher for that. And it can be lower for the one where there's already documented proof where there can be service there. Those tend to be a little bit more straightforward. However, when the policy was written, however many years ago, it didn't really address both of those. In addition, the ordinance 2006-03, as it continued to be amended throughout the years, it was silent on that 2003-01. And there were some fees within there that were not increasing with the CPI. So an example would be for the heavy equipment rates, they were just stuck from when that ordinance was originally created. And not only were the heavy equipment rates incorrect because there were heavy equipment rates that we don't even have that equipment. And then we had heavy equipment that we do use in those construction services that we provide that we didn't have equipment rates for. So we were kind of stuck in this limbo of, well, how do we recoup these costs for these cost to serves and at what rate? Because we really don't have that information in our fee schedule. And in addition, those rates didn't have a factor. And what we do know is equipment, for some reason, keeps going up in cost every year. So all of our other fees that were included in that ordinance had a increased factor on an annual basis based on the CPI, but not the equipment. So when we were going through the rules and regulations, Article 3, we felt it's really probably the perfect time to kind of clean this up, update the fees so they're in line with some of the struggles that we've had, as well as getting rid of 2003-01, consolidating it into one ordinance, and then updating the policy so it's clear when you have service, when you have a cost to serve or a quote for no service, where there's no service available, and one where there is. And then also identifying those increases in those respective fees, as well as making sure that the equipment rates are factored up on an annual basis.
Rebecca, when do these fees come into play? When
So
we're charging out for equipment, what?
That would be, so you want to, you want to start service with the district. So you're going to come in and you're going to ask for a cost to serve. So at that point, that's when we'll tell you what the capacity fees would be to connect to water and sewer. But at that point, that's where the operations staff has to get involved because they need to make sure that what's connecting is to our specs.
And if there's work that has to be done on the district side, like Rebecca was saying, there's no service lateral, but we need a mini excavator and we estimate we're gonna have to trench for 60 feet to put a service line in. We calculate all that and we calculate, okay, we're gonna need 2 dump trucks, a mini X and a skid steer. And then that will all be rolled up into that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'd like to know if anyone ever supplies any of this heavy equipment.
Generally, the district does the work for the install to the meter itself. And so any work, yeah, they're gonna, usually what's going on is there's a house being constructed. So there's a whole work effort going on the customer
Right.
side as well as on the district side. But on the district side, it's 90% of the time it's our equipment.
Okay, because not everybody has the,
Right, yeah.
the inventory that
Right,
you
yeah,
need. Okay.
exactly.
Would you allow the customer to hire their own contractor to put in the lateral and then we would just accept the work and whatnot? Does that happen?
There has been requests like that in the past. However, it generally does not pencil. And it's usually more efficient for the district to do the work.
Okay.
Because when we have to then inspect a contractor's work on our infrastructure, things change dramatically at that point in time.
Okay.
I had a question on the first paragraph. It said request for general information on fee schedules within an area serviced by a district facility are free of charge. Do you find in many cases, some of the customers are getting really, want you to go into detail or?
Yeah, so at the point that they want us to go into detail, that's kind of where the line is. And so at that point, we'll say, okay, well, now we're moving into cost to serve territory where, we would potentially have to go out and inspect the property and try to figure out, how much lateral would need to go into the ground. And at that point, when that happens, that's where those fees for those costs to serve vary greatly, depending on if there is service in the ground or there's not service in the ground. So if it's just a really kind of benign request that's pretty standard, those don't really incur costs. It's when we move over to that cost to serve arena where we actually have to put some time and effort into those. Yeah, and since I've been here, there've been a handful of times where the customer or the applicant says, "Nah, you guys are too expensive. I want to do it myself." And we say, "That's, we can work something out. We just have to inspect it." And then they go and get their quotes and they go, "Never mind.
Gotcha.
Please put me on your calendar." So I've yet to see a flip side to that where they've actually found a lower cost though.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question for Matt, actually. I don't have any problem with this whole thing, except there's some wordsmithing that I want to do on section 2. We'd like to approve this today, but can we approve it with a provision for wordsmithing?
You can make a motion and amend it as part of
Yes.
Okay, all right. Rebecca, I don't know, do you have the document on your?
Yeah.
Okay, on page 2 of 2. I'm bothered by the concept of paying a fee for leasing supplies. I've never leased supplies. I would think that would be an expense. So could we come up with different wording there that we have wage rates, fringe benefits, purchasing or leasing supplies, equipment and materials? Can we just say supplies provided or?
Well,
How do you lease
there-
supplies? They're done.
It says supplies, equipment, or material.
Yeah,
It's
so
for
there-
leasing those 3 things.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-all. So there are several situations where we don't have the equipment, so we do have to lease it. So it's, yeah.
You can move it around or you just say, I should just set this, I miss it. Do supplies, comma, leasing of equipment, comma, that kind of a thing.
Or your first suggestion, I think Director Thomas just said, we could replace purchasing and leasing with procuring or obtaining, something along those lines.
Okay.
Because we do, I mean,
But the thing that bothers me is I have purchased and I've leased and I've never leased a load of gravel.
Right.
Yeah,
Not
and
yet.
I didn't catch this. This is a
Well, it could-
language from each ordinance that has, this is
What-
a carryover, so
what
it's
about-
the right time to change it if.
so
Right
there
after
are times
French.
though where we'd include trucks in our cost to serves and in our cost estimates. And some of our trucks some of our fleet is leased. I mean, it is not a typical lease. It is essentially a purchase, but
Why
I think
couldn't
changing
we-
it to be more broad and encompass both of those terms we could do.
Well, I don't think you're trying to get rid of it. It's just leasing supplies is wrong. If right after fringe benefits, you put comma, supplies, comma, purchasing or leasing equipment, I think that solves it, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and
So just move the leasing, put supplies in front of purchasing and leasing.
It's a run-on sentence anyway.
Yeah.
It's not even, the end of it's not even written right either.
So we could ask to make that change before we make the
I
motion.
would just, to make myself clear, I don't want to have somebody read this and say the same thing that I said, that how do I lease supplies?
Yeah,
Just
But it
fix
really
that.
says comma, purchasing or leasing supplies, comma, equipment or material. And then it should be a semicolon or a colon after that, meeting financial reserves, because it's a different.
well, you know,
Or
what?
period.
I think it's wordsmithing, so let's just move it around and move on to.
I
some other
like
questions.
I like Michael's suggestion of just obtaining or acquiring instead of using the word purchasing or leasing. Obtaining or acquiring.
I like purchasing and leasing. What do you like?
Just,
Move supplies in front of that, that's all.
I'm
It's an easier
confident
phrase.
that Rebecca can come up with the right language, but I just don't want to have people wonder how they're going to lease.
So whoever makes the motion
Yeah.
gets to say how.
Well,
they
I think
want
the leasing applies to supplies, equipment, or materials. I mean, we're not going to lease supplies, but you're right.
Right, and that just sounds,
Or materials, potentially
Yeah.
equipped.
So I mean, we could just say purchasing of supplies or materials or leasing of equipment. and then
Perfect. Or
continue.
purchasing.
Or
or-
purchasing.
But then we have to purchasing or leasing of equipment.
Right, right.
okay, so we all agree on that in some way or another. Any other questions of the board? and comments?
Thank you for indulging me on.
That was fun.
That was only one, Brett?
That's the only one. yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm ready to approve
So-
this whole thing.
Now we are ready for any public comment. Seeing any out there, Rebecca? All right, so we're going to close the public comment period. Close the public hearing. It is 1:58.
Right.
So now we're ready for a motion.
Okay, I would like to move that we adopt ordinance 2021-1, I guess.
Is there one?
Amending ordinance 2020-1, establishing application of service rates and billing quotes for new services under the district's rules and regulations governing water and or sewer service to customers and leasing. No, none of that. Don't put the last part in
Do you
there.
have a second?
second.
That'd be Bertha. And resolution, we need a vote, correct? We're ready.
Director Underhill,
Yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas.
Yes.
Director Cicada.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right, moving on to new business, 5A, discussion action regarding selection of consultant and award professional services agreement for the Sheep Ranch Water Supply Reliability Study and Facilities Master Plan. This would be Charles Palmer. Hi, Charles. Hello.
So, yeah, so the purpose of the study is to, Sheep Ranch is out there in Middlesex County in the South Community. They currently get their water supply from Bear Creek that flows in the dam, and then there are diversions downstream on San Antonio Creek, that, where the community gets its water supply. And all that infrastructure is fairly old and, probably need rehabilitation. And so the study has various elements. We're looking at the existing water supply and its reliability and what infrastructure would have to be rehabilitated to maintain that. And then looking at other options such as, okay, is groundwater feasible? Can we do it every time with tap systems, transfer water over there, branch, and, there could be some other ancillary benefits such as, more robust fire water supply. I know we've been working with the fire district up there to install an additional tank because there's limited fire water supply. So, is there an option that we didn't improve that? And then also just developing those options and considering the cost of those options and weighing them against each other. So that's kind of part of the component of the study. The remaining component of the study is just considering what other infrastructure we have there, including the treatment system, the potable water distribution, and facilities that are really those improvements to. So that's kind of the total scope of that project.
So do I need
If you
to,
just, yeah,
maybe you can push the button
Go
for it.
it's the right arrow.
Right, Aaron? Yeah. Oh, so can I just back up 1 second? Sorry, Charles, just to give a quick overview. So we have 3 different sheep branch items on the agenda today. This one touches on the other 2, but it's really kind of a separate and distinct item. The other 2 are really interrelated. But we have a lot of sheep branch discussion today, but this one, as Charles said, focuses on the planning effort that we're embarking on. So I just wanted to clarify for the board about the 3 upcoming agenda items that are all pertaining to sheep branch, but this one is distinct from the other 2 essentially.
So so for this study, we developed an RFP that was request for proposals that was issued on July 30th. And the due date was earlier this month on September 2nd. We received 5 proposals. The proposals were reviewed and ranked by a selection committee consisting of CCWD staff, myself, Damon, and Michael, and others. And then, so this is a summary of the proposals received. Generally speaking, we try not to just focus on the cost, but qualifications of the firm, the multiple criteria. That includes such things as, the project understanding and approach, the project team members' experience, the level of effort, and the value of the proposal. So based on that, the selection committee chose Loomis and Associates out of Carson City, Nevada. One thing that stood out about Loomis was they actually, had a group, their team came over and visited with staff. They went out to all the facilities, inspected them. So there's a very hands-on type of group. And so that stood out as being very favorable for them. And their proposal was very straightforward and provided a good value and was cost effective.
So we didn't have to go with the least expensive one here, but it just happened to be in this case. It doesn't usually work out that way.
Right.
That staff was more comfortable with them and working with them, and they happened to have the lowest price.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
That's right. And I think, yeah, we don't have to go with the lowest bid here. I think what Charles was just talking about, the fact that they really did a deep dive in advance in developing the proposal helped them hone the cost down. So even though it is the lowest cost proposal, we also feel like it checks all the boxes that we needed to check, and it delivers the value that we need, and they're qualified to do the work.
And we've never used this
They did the water master plan for Amador Water Agency. This is what they have done work locally. I don't know if Damon, are you?
Wherever you are, Dave.
Matt, can I ask you a question? Blackwater Consulting Engineers is our engineering firm at Murphy Sanitary, so should I recuse myself or something? No? Okay. Should I still vote and make comments? Okay. Okay. Just checking.
So I have.
So are you a shareholder? Are you a partner at Blackwater?
No.
Kickbacks.
Right.
Just check.
How about Lumos?
Right.
I'd like to make a comment that on Blackwater, I mean, there's a strike against them for designing a drinking water system.
Old Doobie Brothers. Doobie Brothers.
That's okay. So I have their schedule here and their cost proposal, but so what, today the resolution is we just requesting that the board of directors approve the award to Loomis and Associates for the study and then authorize the general manager to execute the professional services agreement in a contract amount of $72,907. We've established a completion date of next May 2022, and there is sufficient funding in the CIP for the study too.
Well, I'd like to make a motion approving the selection committee's recommendation for Loomis and Associates and award and authorize the general manager to execute a professional services agreement with the selected consultant Loomis and Associates for the Sheep Ranch Water Supply Reliability Study and Facilities Master Plan. Is there a reason we don't have their name in the
In the motion?
I mean, I put it in there twice on purpose.
Is it in the resolution or is it?
I don't know. It's.
In the resolution.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So, yeah, I admitted it on the agenda item in the motion as listed.
It's in the, it's in the resolution.
Okay.
We got a motion?
I'll second that. Oh, go ahead.
All right. Any other comments? Public comments? Seeing none, can we get a roll call vote? Rebecca?
Director Underhill,
Yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas,
Yes.
Director Cicada.
Yes.
Can I make one more quick comment on this one? I think the main reason we wanted to include this in here and have the discussion with the board, because it's actually, this was budgeted for and within signing authority, but we wanted board sign off on this as well and to have this discussion with the board. This is a really important effort that this is the tip of the iceberg. We know there's a lot of work that has to be done in Sheep Ranch, both as far as the distribution system itself, the treatment plant, and the water supply infrastructure. All of that needs to be looked at very carefully, and we need to take a comprehensive approach to, how we're going to address it. So it's going to be costly. It's remote. There's all sorts of, complications and layers to this. I think it's going to ultimately be, sort of a multi-agency approach to go after funding, to find the right sources of funding for this type of project. So I think, we mainly wanted to have the discussion with the board just to make sure that we're keeping the board informed as this process moves along towards what ultimately will likely be a pretty large effort. So we'll continue to provide the board updates on this as we move forward. Really excited that we're kicking it off and really digging in now and getting underway. It's an effort we've been talking about and kind of working on internally for a long time. And I think Loomis is really going to help us move the ball forward in a lot of ways. So
Has there been a lot of discussion amongst the public who live there that are looking for this type of, whether it's more connections or is it just about the fire mitigation? Has there been a lot of comments on
great
it?
question. So no, and this one is not specifically related to fire suppression. infrastructure, although I think that is going to be a big
Looked
part
at.
of, and that was one of the things we liked about the Loomis proposal. They really kind of focused in on that aspect of it, because that might be one of the angles that where we're able to attract
For grants or
funding.
something, yeah.
There inevitably, as this moves forward, so this is kind of a first step. As this moves forward, there's going to have to be a lot of community engagement, because it is
A
going to
lot of community what?
engagement.
Okay.
And community engagement and engagement with partner agencies, local, state, federal. I think it's going to become a pretty big effort, but a lot of engagement with the residents of Sheep Ranch, because it's obviously critical for the community up there. So.
Yeah, because over the course of the years, you know, when we speak about Sheep Ranch, we talk about its size and, you know, how small it is in comparison to everything else that we have, so that the emphasis has not been there. But as you say, this is just a preliminary or the starting point of.
Well, what I really hope will come out of this is a clear path towards, you know, where we need to go, and at least some preliminary recommendations on how to get there, and what agencies need to be involved, and what potential sources of funding are out there. It's going to be an expensive effort. And so we right now we have ideas that we've kicked around, and so this takes us to we're going to, you know, fully develop those ideas, so that when we're at a point where there's grants available or other funding available, we're in a position to go after it.
Remind us, what is the number of customers we have out there?
I think there's around 50.
That's a couple more than what we.
From my understanding, this also could be a disadvantaged community and declared it such. I think a few years ago, we tried to do a survey there and didn't get any results. Is with this engagement with the community, and this is a good time to talk about Sheep Ranch with this many things on our agenda and going up there. But with the water tank and it'd be a good time, in my opinion, to have a town hall meeting up there and explain to them what a disadvantaged community is and the benefits of being declared that. And we're putting money into this little teeny water system with only 50 people that are participating in it. And so the cost is spread across the county, and every one of our ratepayers is paying for Sheep Ranch in theory. But wouldn't that be, wouldn't this be a good, with this many projects, let's focus on there and be in there, and you're talking about engage, I don't know how we're going to engage with them, but the last way we tried to, it didn't work.
Yeah, so that has been a part of the discussion as we get into these next couple of items with the tank. We've made some connections in the community already, and we brought that up, and they have already committed to help us with that effort as we move forward with, you know, so that when we have a town hall meeting out there, it's not just CCWD, it'll be other leaders that are known in that community.
We're identifying who those people are and able to approach them.
So-
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's already, you know, we're already kind of trying to lay the groundwork for that, because we're aware of that issue coming up in the past.
I have a great connection who lives right in the downtown area, if that's what you want to call it. And she's very active, engaging her little community. So that will be a great contact.
She's in the urban core of Sheep
Yeah,
Ranch.
that's it. You know what I'm talking about? That one neighborhood, right? But she's, you know, we
Downtown
chatted over the
Sheep
months, and she's just a good connection that I think can rally the community together.
Does she own any sheep?
No. No, but anyhow, so I'll be glad to reach out if we want to put something together.
Yeah, and even for this, we are still reaching out to identify whether there might be, you know, sources of funding available even for this initial effort. So we're trying to bring in as much outside resources as we can for this.
No, we know there's more and more funding out there, especially this year and due to last year's problems. But I think moving forward, if we can get a disadvantaged, get them declared a disadvantaged community, there's that much more.
I'm sure they already are.
Yeah, but we don't know it. We haven't been able to.
And that's always
Really?
the question.
They
that-
were.
Oh, because they
Yeah.
didn't
information,
participate,
yeah, right.
Nobody returned any information. It's kind of
Right.
Well, you know what,
suspicious.
with my contact, we might be able to
We're
get
with the
some
government,
buy-in.
and we're here to help you.
Right.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
only looking at 50 people, so we might be able to
Right.
get that now. We'll see. Okay, any other comments?
I just have a question about why we have 100 pages of Evans Pass water and sewer under that tab.
It was an incorrect attachment when the agenda went out. So there was an incorrect attachment in the agenda package, which is why the system map is in there instead of the proposal.
Okay.
But I sent
But
out
it was a
a
great map.
corrected link on Monday.
Bertha, do you know where all these parcels are located?
Of course I do. I'm surprised you even asked me that. Okay, now moving on.
All righty. 5B.
Oh, I'm sorry, we did have Jonathan Lesperance, is it? Jonathan, are you online? He's the responsible charge, engineer and responsible charge.
For
I don't know if he
5B.
had him come. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon, members of the board. Jonathan Lesperance with Loomis and Associates. I think you've done a great job, Charles, outlining the project, and we're very excited to partner with you and come up with some solutions for Sheep Ranch.
We look forward to working with you as well. Thank you.
And thank you for letting us talk about you.
Happy to
It
do
was
so.
really nice. It was really nice to hear that you went out and looked at the property and the site prior to submitting your proposal. So that showed a lot of good and a lot of good intent. So thank you.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating system, the history surrounding it, the condition of the existing infrastructure. It's all very similar to some of the historic Comstock areas we work around Carson City. So a lot of similarities to projects we've addressed previously, and we're excited.
Well, I enjoy Carson City. I'll be there this week. I do. We're there all the time. Okay, any other comments? Thank you. Nice to meet you, and we'll see you again, I'm sure.
I'll just
Looking
add, they
forward
didn't
to it.
just-
Thank you.
They didn't just drive through downtown Sheep Ranch. They walked out to the.
Right.
development And everything.
Yeah, you told me that yesterday. Okay, so now we'll move on to item 5B, discussion action regarding the acceptance of an easement and related agreement for the Sheep Ranch Water Systems Fire Protection Tank. And Damon,
Good afternoon, directors.
good afternoon.
So as you know, CCWD is working with Calaveras County to assemble approximately 140,000 gallon non-potable fire protection tank at the Sheep Ranch, existing Sheep Ranch tank site. So as the parcel maps were reviewed and a site was chosen for the new fire protection tank, a survey was completed, and it was determined that the parcel map and the survey are about 110 feet off from each other.
Right.
So in order to effectively place the fire protection tank, the district needed to work with the neighboring property owner to secure additional property through an easement for the location of the fire protection tank. And so we have worked with the neighbor. We've agreed to terms. The cost to the district is $12,000 for an additional easement for the property. So the ask before you here today is to approve a resolution accepting the easement, allowing Michael and the district to enter into an easement agreement with the neighbor for this additional property for the fire protection tank. It's about a little over 1/10 of an acre.
Will the easement be fenced, separating the easement from their property, protecting our property?
It'll have a tank on it.
Yeah,
But
it'll
We
be
don't have a
incorporated.
fence up there currently.
Do you need to?
Probably not. A fence has been one of the topics of discussion, and so we'll be limited as far as the options for a fence go. But we haven't had an issue up there where we needed a fence yet, but we would have the ability to put those.
So the easement is just giving us the area to put the tank, because to access it, we already have that. That's our property.
Yeah, and
That's
just so these next two items, like I said, are really intertwined. And so kind of just to step back a second, the easement, as Damon mentioned, the property owner has been great, in working with us on this as far as, understanding the need for it, and we want to get it done as quickly as possible and reaching an agreement, and we think we're there. The next item is the MOU with the county for, they've pledged to contribute $136,500 towards the cost of this project. we're providing the tank and the site and staff time and some of the work effort. The one change we'll have to make, we actually were able to reduce some of the other costs and add this to that list of items that we think the county will contribute to. And fortunately, it offsets equally. So the 136.5 is still the total dollar amount. But the conversation with the county is enabling us to use some of that 136.5 to cover the cost of this easement rather than some of the other items that we had identified before. So I just want to clarify that. So out of, so the 12,000 is for the cost. That's the payment to the property owner for the cost of the easement. But we would cover, legal costs for drafting the agreement, staff time that we've spent on it, recording, other transaction costs that we would cover.
Well, I want to commend staff, you guys, for getting the easement as opposed to buying the property.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
that,
that's what was gonna be
congratulations.
one of my questions, because clarify something for me. This is, this little thing right up here is where we're going to be putting our new water tank.
That's the meeting, right?
Okay, so that this fella owns this great big piece of property right
No,
here.
we do.
It was
We
just-
do?
He owns everything else.
Oh.
Yeah.
He owns this.
Yeah.
All the red, right?
He owned
And-
about 50 acres beyond that.
And about 100 acres below that.
Correct.
And this is in comparison, keep in mind to, in order to move forward and put the tank within our property boundary.
Right.
The earthwork was gonna be another, a 70,000
Right.
plus probably. But, to your point, Director Admin, Damon's really been in the lead on this, negotiating with the property owner, making sure that it was moving forward and getting everything that we need out of it and keeping the project on track. There's a kind of a lot of moving parts here, so.
Well,
Thank
Michael and Matt have done an excellent job facilitating the work, and the property owner has been great to work with. Really
Teamwork
responsive and receptive.
Oh, the dollar figure that we were faced with was
Right.
much more.
Yeah.
Good job. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
All right, any more comments from the board?
I do have this emphasis on that's a non-potable water tank. Potable, potable. In Copperopolis, we've got fire hydrants that are running along and associated with the freshwater or treated water distribution system. So explain to me how this, don't they have the same arrangement in Sheep Ranch where you have a lateral coming out of the water treatment thing and going down the road and there'd be a fire hydrant off to the side? Off that lateral?
They have one treated water fire hydrant. And so the size of the treated water tank is about 95,000 gallons. So now they will have, and I agree with you, the distinction, it should just be water tank. And we've discussed this since the staff report was drafted, but they don't have a real fire hydrant on the potable system except for at one location, and that's at the treatment facility. So this will give them, this will give them an additional fire hydrant with more capacity, and it won't have all of the costs associated with water treatment behind the water itself.
So is this pipe in the ground already, or is this part?
It is not in the ground yet.
Okay, all right, so.
But it could, and so there's nothing in the agreement, that non-potable language is in the staff report, but there's nothing in
Right.
the agreement, because we can bring this into service as a potable water tank. That's one of the other operational benefits here, is the one tank that we have up there right now is in need of rehabilitation, but it's the only tank, and we can't take it offline until we have another tank up there. So
Okay.
this will give us the option to do both.
So there will be valving
Yes.
that will allow you to put it into the freshwater or not freshwater, but the treated water system.
Correct. So the design includes a vault because you have to have an air gap between a raw and a treated supply. So the vault will include 2 valves with 2 blind flanges, and then we will have a pup, most likely in the treatment building. If there's an issue, we can take that pup, drop it in between those 2 flanges, bolt it together and open the valves, and now we have a treated water tank.
And Loomis will be in kind of guiding that those designs and?
So that design occurred, Charles's team completed that design. That was in-house.
Loomis is not, this is that's why I'm trying to introduce these. So this is another sheep ranch item, but it's not related to the previous one.
Sheep
This
ranch
is
is
something we're moving
master
forward with
plan.
now. And it'll be available for us for future use. So I'm sure, contemplated as part of the existing system, but not, Loomis isn't involved in this effort.
Yeah, Kevin Williams, senior engineer with the district, has worked on this from the beginning, has done an excellent job with the design and verifying the pumps will push through head pressure into the tank and all the engineering work associated with it.
Okay, well, this term, non-potable is in the staff report, but when you have your outreach meetings and stuff, that you'll clarify that this is kind of a global type of a proposed solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely been a part of the discussion, is the multiple benefits that come from this.
All right, good.
Anyone else? All right, any public comment? Seeing none, can I get a motion?
I make a motion, we adopt resolution number 2021 73. Wow. Accepting an easement and related agreement for the Sheep Ranch Water Systems Fire Protection Plan.
Second.
Okay, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Director Underhill,
Yes.
Director Ratterman,
Yes.
Director Thomas,
Yes.
Director Cicada.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Damon. All right, item 5C, discussion action regarding the acceptance of the memorandum of understanding between Calaveras County and Calaveras County Water District concerning the relocation of a water tank and sheep ranch. And this is Jessica. Hi, Jessica.
I first just want to acknowledge the successful partnership that we've had through this whole time between us and the county, as well as collaborating with the local fire department in Sheep Ranch. It's been a great experience for me just to see this from start to finish. Just those first meetings with these partners to discuss and kind of just create this idea, and then see the staff that we have here at CCWD pull this idea together and make it work. So I'm just here as a formality for the board to approve the MOU between the County of Calaveras and CCWD for funding for the Sheep Ranch water tank relocation project.
Will the county, Jessica, will the county be submitting the same MOU to their board and for acceptance?
Yes,
Or
they
have
will.
they done that already?
They have not done it yet.
And there's minor edits. That's okay. So just to clarify with regard to the previous discussion that we had, because the MOU does kind of specific, not to a very detailed level, but it does talk about what the funds are to be used for. So that the edit that I would propose to make, and this is in section 4, is moving $12,000 from tank installation cost to site improvement cost, and changing the name of that to easement and site improvement cost.
And adding $12,000?
$70,000, and then the next one would be 66.5. So what happened was the initial estimate for the tank construction was 76,500. It came in 12, and this is a complete coincidence, but it came in $12,000 lower than what the initial estimate was. And the easement cost ended up being $12,000.
But
So
we had no out-of-pocket expenses at all regarding that easement then, really?
we had, like I said, there were some transaction costs.
$12,000. We didn't
Damon
know
spent
about
a
it.
lot of time on the phone working this out. There were some costs. Matt drafted the easement agreement, and we'll have to draft the easement and have it recorded. So there's some transaction costs for CCWD. It doesn't change the cost for the county, and as long as we were still waiting for a final response, but I'm assuming that's going to be fine for us to repurpose the cost for that purpose. The only other edit would be, since the signature block has the chair of the board of supervisors on there, I would propose adding the president or vice president of our board as the signatory.
In addition to everyone else that's there, not taking anyone on.
I don't think I need to be there if the chair of the.
Oh.
if the board, we can
Okay.
have, if we want to get it signed today, we could have directors, the vice president sign it.
Oh, my first signature.
We have a
And
motion.
that- And then she'll be personally liable for the.
Yeah, but it'll be a good thing.
No, I just want to make a comment that this must be some kind of a record for, interaction between CCWD and the county.
It has been, and that's, it would have been even smoother if the property boundaries hadn't given us a curveball at the last minute. But it's been great. And I think a ton of credit to Damon and his team for, the logistics and that mentality of let's get this done, let's figure out how to get it done. The tank's already been disassembled. It's waiting to be relocated. The contractor using Discordia is ready to do the site work up there. The other contractor for this tank construction is ready to go. So that really everything is lined out, and this is just sort of the paperwork that has to go along with it.
Michael, are we going to make the payment and then the county will reimburse us the 136,000?
Yeah, in fact, I think we've already made some payments towards this. cost.
Just, yeah. All right, any other comments? I'm asking you folks first. Any public comments, Rebecca? I see none here. All right, seeing none.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion accepting the memorandum of understanding MOU regarding the relocation of a water tank in Sheep Ranch, California, between the County of Calaveras and the Calaveras County Water District.
Second for Bertha. And I don't see a resolution attached, so I'm just going to pull the board. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none.
One after comment that I'd like to make on this is I'm pretty sure that I remember reading that William Randolph Hearst had a significant gold mine in Sheep Ranch
Oh, really?
back many, many decades ago. That might be an interesting public relations type of a comment.
Is Loomis still on the line?
Go
Get in-
for it.
Can we get into that?
Go for it.
No,
Yeah.
seriously.
interesting,
the,
yeah. Show the history.
The Hearst family, I mean, they still have a lot of money. Maybe they
Want to pay for something?
maybe, yeah, they could contribute to something. A little acknowledgement. I mean, that's pretty great.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
That's what.
I'm full of them today.
All right, moving on.
Jeff's not here to beat me down.
All right, moving on to old business 6A, update regarding the Tyler software conversion. Woo. Rebecca.
Okay, we are officially live, so that's exciting.
About time.
I know, I know. So with any implementation, I find, there's 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and you think everything's going great, and then you find that one little bit or piece that, nobody thought about. So that's what we're going through right now. I do have to say, of all the implementations I've gone through, this is probably one of the smoothest ones. I know. It's gone really, really well. And Tyler has voiced repeatedly how impressed they were. We did a lot of work beforehand, cleaning up our data, going through and fixing issues before we got to the conversion process. So, we put a lot on staff in order to get to this point, but it's showing because we have a much cleaner data conversion and we have a much cleaner step to that transition. We knew that there was going to be a little bit of a struggle because we had a fully non-integrated system. If you recall, we had an external payment processor, and then we have a third-party billing processor, and then we had the utility billing. And none of those really work seamlessly as it is. So trying to get them to kind of all go where they need to go at at the time that we need them to do that has also had its own struggles as well. So we've been doing a lot of outreach with customers just to kind of ease their concerns. We're not running the past due process right now because we had to stop letting customers make payments online. We did have an issue with some duplicate payments that occurred with our third-party processor that we're trying to end. So they're in the process of reversing all of those right now. And so we're just working through all of that and making sure that we're communicating with customers. We've put press releases out. We've updated the website. We've changed the front end message on the phones. We're in the course of doing all that. We also have identified where there's been accounts that have been underbilled in Springbrook and overbilled in Springbrook. And so we're working through those as well. So the nice part is it's kind of that opportunity where we can look and really see things that have been hidden for a long time, and then just use those opportunities to clean it up and move forward. Staff are really actually seeing the benefit of why we made this decision. So that's exciting. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for everybody to kind of get through the pain of a conversion and implementation before they see the beauty in it, but they're already seeing kind of the benefits of it right now. And we're only
They got
on
it.
day
They
2.
got to be getting used to change.
Yeah, I was.
Right.
That's what
Yes,
helped
they
me
did.
here.
How many conversions has the poor customer service gone through?
I think Corinne is only she's the only one here that has actually gone through conversions here.
For the finance
For the
software.
fi-
But
for
I think in
the-
general, there's
for
been
the
a lot of
utility
change
billing
lately.
software.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very exciting. I'm very excited. So the biggest thing is all customer accounts had to change. So everyone's customer billing number is different. And so we are, just suggesting that you can either wait until you get your next bill in order to get your new account number, and then you can go online to the customer portal and enroll that way. Or you can certainly contact customer service through the web form or through our main line, and we can get you your new customer number. The portal is very easy, very user-friendly, lots of information on it. So it is a very professional looking portal, very excited, and everything is real time. So if a customer makes a payment, we immediately see it on the billing side. If we make a change on the billing side, the customer will immediately see it on their end. So the integration is probably just one of the most exciting things because it was fairly broken before. So very exciting. Everything's going pretty good. And we will continue to just do more and more with it.
So sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I see where you have the next steps, but, those are my comments. They have to do with the next steps. So you want to say something?
Well,
Mike?
I was just gonna point out, the main point of this item was just to give the board an update and really to recognize admin services staff. This has been a huge effort for a long time, and it's really exciting to see it come to fruition and see it happen. Every member of the admin services team has just been
Oh,
fantastic
absolutely.
under Rebecca's leadership. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
it's
Yeah.
been a big additional workload for all of them, and Rebecca and her team have just saying that.
We've always had pay by phone, but that is our new pay by phone number. And with Tyler, and then we have the upside or the updated website for the customer portal. We obviously we don't have AMI is not live in terms of the real-time consumptive information, but at the time that happens, then that information will be there as well. But
When does that happen?
we're in the process of going through that now. So meters are being swapped right now. So
Right.
that will be part,
Is it going to go area by area?
it's
The-
route by route.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're starting up in Bertha's neck of the woods.
Right.
We got to try to get out of the snow. But
Yeah,
yeah.
So the ones that are in, when will that area go live for
That
consumption?
area.
Consumption
I'm not sure. So there's a lot of different factors. We've got to get the network up to speed. We've got to get the meters installed. So that's something that we meet with on a weekly basis to discuss that. And then the other piece of it that I will be working on next week, I'm hoping, is that mass meter change out. So I think I heard something like 500 meters
So far.
are swapped out. And obviously there's no way an individual can sit there and try to swap out
Yeah, we
500
don't-
meters. So we work with Tyler and Mueller to build that mass meter swap file. So we will start testing that here, I'm hoping next week or the week after, and then we'll get a rhythm in place. And then as those meters get swapped out, we will do the swap file, and then things will start working the way they're supposed to.
So if it's 500, we only have 3,000 left to go. That's, but it's
4,000
coming.
for that
Okay,
service.
so the couple of questions I had, I couldn't find what IVR is.
So IVR would be like an integrated, interactive,
Interactive voice
voice-
recognition.
recognition. So we use IVR for multiple things. So we
Oh.
could use it to send you, it says voice in it, but we can actually use it for other things. We could send you a text message, we could send you an email, and we could send you a phone call with a message on it. But what it allows us to do is multiple things. If we needed to say, hey, wanted to remind you, your bill is due in 3 days, we can send that out. If we wanted to say, hey, there's a boil water notice in your area, we can send that out.
Yeah, and that was the question, because how many people don't have that capability? That,
Right.
You know, that's
Yeah.
always going to be a problem.
So the nice part is with Tyler, and this has been a struggle that we've had, and so we've kind of figured a way around it until we could get to this point, but it is, like you pull your hair out. But with Tyler, because it's an integrated system, we actually can pull a map up. Damon can come in and say, hey, this area, so find this service address and, this road to this road to this road to this road, they all need to be contacted because there's a boil water notice in that area. Or there's a scheduled shutdown that has to happen because construction's happening or whatever it is. And we can just draw that shape. It will create the outreach, and it will go email, voice, text. So prior to that, we would spend half a day trying to put it together, but it was important enough to do it because we definitely wanted to get that outreach. The alternative was to have field staff go out and actually knock on people's doors.
Or hang tags or whatever you did.
Do you have to get the public to sign on to agree to get that information? You can just send it out. Okay, sorry.
So we try not to overuse it
Uh-huh.
because we don't want constant robocalls going out because then people ignore when there's actually an important thing that we have to say. But there are times where we do want to get that information out, and we will cater that outreach depending on what it is. So it may not be a call, but it may be a text message that has a web link in it, or an email that has web information in it that can point to. Or if it's more of an emergency kind of thing, then we'll hit it all 3 ways. We'll hit it any way we can.
Russ is waiting to say something.
You're talking about swapping out these meters and it brought up a question about, is there the ability for our meter readers to go by with a handheld electronic reader before they actually start doing it by telemetry?
So right now, as the meters get installed, it's like a toggle on them, right? There's a switch on them. And so they're all switched to fixed network. Because if they weren't, and we switch them to a non-fixed network, then our meter readers could drive by and it would pick it up. But then they'd have to go out and visit all those meters and switch it to fixed network so that it would go up into the cloud, and then we would get it that way. So the decision was made that they would go ahead and just manually read the meters until the fixed networks are up. And then as those fixed networks come up, then we'll be able to retrieve that information off of Mueller.
Okay. And I'm assuming that each of these meters is going to start off with a 0.0 reading?
When they're installed, yeah, the brand new meter just, yeah.
Okay. Good deal.
Did you have anything else?
No.
Don't, yeah, you didn't cut me off.
One other thing though, I think, and Rebecca already touched on this, but I think it's important, and maybe we should give we could give the board a handout, or we could just point you to the link on the website where it's really clearly laid out. But you might get questions from your constituents about why they have to re-enter their credit card information and why they have to set up a new account. That's the big outreach push that we're doing right now, is letting everybody know your old auto pay is not going to work anymore. Until you go in and set up a new account and put your payment information in again, you can't rely on that old auto pay anymore. So that will be frustrating for some folks, and I'm sure we'll hear about it, but in the long run, we have to do it to get rid of Paymentus and to shift to this new system. And this is a one-time thing, and it's going to be much better going forward.
What's a better security?
Yeah.
You're trying to pull that and integrate it.
Yeah.
It's a better security. It's integrated. There's customers get really frustrated with the current process, and we don't have a lot of control over when those payments run. There's been a lot of issues with auto payments. So everything we're doing is in the vein of making sure that we're providing better customer service. And so this is just one hoop we got to jump through. Everybody's just got to do it. But staff are available to assist, where we need to. We've got the information on the website. We've tried to put as much information on that new web portal that customers can follow along with it. And like I said, it's very user-friendly. We do realize not everybody has a computer, so they can still pay by that IVR. They can still call in a payment to customer service and they'll take it over the phone. So.
I'll have to learn because I have mine payment.
Yeah,
Yep.
that might be the best way to do it, is to go through it, set up your new account, and then
Right.
when customers contact you about it, you'll be able to walk them
Yeah,
through it.
then go door to door and help your neighbors.
Yeah, you can be the IT
Yeah.
support for the task.
And the other kind of nice part is we have a lot of customers that have multiple accounts. And so they can set up one web portal, they can add all of their accounts to it, and then when they make a payment, they can pay all their accounts at one time. And that's also been something that we really haven't been able to provide in the past. And then just things that we're going to be working on and adding to with those same customers, we can also start sending out a consolidated bill.
So for a
Oh.
homeowner that has a couple of rentals, they can add those accounts to their portal, but the tenant can also have a portal with that same account. So you have one account to two different portals.
Yep.
I'm trying
Yep.
to.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's always still going to remain in the owner's name.
Right.
But what we're doing is setting up kind of that landlord-tenant relationship. So the tenant would be an additional contact on that service address. And whoever wants to pay the bill, we're not going to split hairs on who wants to pay it, but.
But they can they create their own portal. So one account can be in multiple customer portals.
Yeah.
Do I recall that you had some prior exposure to Tyler at different?
Well, Tyler offers a lot of different software options. So the county used Tyler, but they used it for their recording system. We had looked at Tyler for something else over there.
You own stock in Tyler?
I don't. And I just base, when I look at software, I just really base it on what, ease of use, and if the software has the ability to kind of shore the gaps that we're struggling with. So when I came in here, I heard a lot of complaints about Springbrook. But I kind of always assume sometimes it's not the software, it's just how it's implemented. And so maybe we just need to re-implement. And in this case, it was sorry to recognize that we really did need to make a change, because even if we had upgraded and re-implemented, it was still short in many areas. So we made the right decision. I'm excited about it. I think customers are going to be really excited about it. And I think we're going to be able to really help streamline a lot of what we've been doing manually. I think it's going to give staff in all different departments the ability to run their own reports and get critical information that otherwise we were having to data mine for. So, yeah.
Good job.
Good job.
I have another question. Just
Finally getting, we've been talking about Tyler for how long?
Over a year,
Seems like two.
over a year.
Congratulations. This is really refreshingly slick and eye-catching, and occasionally we see these evidences, stark evidences that we're really living up to our becoming the trusted leader in the area. This is, I don't know who was responsible for this, but this is really good. Everything.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Good job, everybody.
Yes,
Sure
yes,
everybody has
absolutely.
And
You especially, thank you.
speaking of technology and stuff, we have a new employee named Brandon.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Where is he?
He's hiding in his, yeah, over in IT. So Brandon Birmingham started 4 weeks ago. Maybe this is his 5th week. I don't know. And his first day was the week that we shut down. And so like no one was here. So the poor guy showed up, and I think it was him, myself,
Our new IT guy.
our new IT person, and maybe 1 or 2 other people. I don't remember. And I did forewarn him before he came, and he still showed up. And
How did he get in the building?
I had to let him in. I had to let him in, but he is awesome. And he is so gifted and talented, and he just has just really great ideas, and he is turning us around big time. So I'm really excited that he came to join us, and there is no shortage of work for him.
Is that why he's not here?
Yeah.
We don't let him out of that.
We don't let him out of there. But yeah, he's awesome. So definitely you should swing by and say hello. He's absolutely wonderful.
Well, shall we all just get up now and go say hello?
But yeah,
Call him and march him in. I'd like to say hello to him.
Well, he's gotta have, we won't even see what he looks like. He's gonna be wearing a mask, be one of those new employees, and we don't have any clue who they even are.
Well, this meeting's a lot quicker than the last one, so we
Yeah.
can have time.
Oh,
We'll
we're not
blame
done
that
yet.
on, pardon me?
We're not done yet.
Oh, I know. We got your report and you only get 5 minutes.
but
I'm the
yeah,
president right
so
now.
he's identified, we struggled with bandwidth issues, and he has identified ways that we can actually get our bandwidth back on track without
Nice.
spending a fortune. So he's very good. Very
Nice.
excited to have
Look
him.
forward to meeting him here.
Yeah, and so he's helping us with the Tyler implementation as well, and making sure that all of our staff have the appropriate equipment and resources that they need to do their job. So very excited.
Very good.
Oh,
Very good.
Want to,
And so
move on?
Russ knew about it and none of us,
Yeah,
nobody
Well, the
else.
reason I knew about it is because I'm
in here all the time.
I'm having a terrible time.
Brandon Birmingham.
Hi, Brandon. Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Enjoying your job?
Introduce yourself to Brandon.
Hi, Brandon. I'm Cindy Cicada, and I am the Vice President of the Board,
And
filling in today for Jeff, who's not here, Jeff Davidson.
I'm delighted to meet you. My name is Russ Thomas.
Nice to meet you, Brad. I'm Scott Ratterman.
And hello, I'm Bertha Underhill out of Ebbets Pass. You live up there?
I live in Sonora.
What?
What?
You hired?
Not for a long term, but currently, yes.
All those good things we were just saying about you, just.
Well, welcome. We are glad that you're here, and we look forward to working with you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
All right.
Get back to work.
Okay. Thank you, Rebecca.
All right,
Is that
thank
it?
you. That's it.
Okay, Michael, General Manager's report.
Okay. We, this is a kind of a head spinning amount of stuff going on right now with Tyler and AMI, all at the same time. I am pleased to report the contractor has been able to find some additional labor to bringing people in to do the meter swap out. So that should be ramping up at a faster pace. We are in the buyout election period for the retiree health benefit buyout. So that's happening right now. It's a 30-day window of time, and we're roughly in the middle of it. And so Stacy's been doing a great job of doing a lot of outreach, had multiple workshops with the staff to make sure they have all the information and are able to make informed decisions. Well, we don't have any numbers yet or anything, but yeah, we'll report that out at the end of the period. But just want the board to know that that's. Yeah, I think so for sure. Yeah. There was and then speaking of new employees, I feel like I've jinxed us before in the past, so I'm not going to get too excited yet. And I won't say his name yet, but we have agreed to terms with a new senior civil engineer to fill Bob Godwin's position. And I think he's going to be fantastic. So hopefully he'll be starting late October.
Oh,
We'll keep you posted on that.
we certainly have the work.
Yes, we do. No shortage of work. There was a meeting last week between Secretary Crowfoot and Secretary Blumenfeld and Carla Nemeth at DWR and a few other folks on the state agency side with the Aqua agency GMs about drought and water conservation. And I was expecting it to be a little bit more of a scolding and slap on the wrist, maybe for not doing enough. And there was a little bit of that. The part of the impetus for it was the numbers coming back in after a month or two of the governor requesting 15% voluntary reductions. They're not seeing any reductions. And so that was part of the discussion, was how can we, to their credit, it wasn't so much as there was no blame. It was how can we do this better? How can we achieve these reductions? So I think it ended up being a fairly good discussion. There was definitely some foreboding, some warnings, I guess is maybe one way to put it, about what's to come next year. And I think people are very nervous because some of the long range forecasts are sometimes right, sometimes wrong, but the long range forecasts are not great. And so if we have another dry year, we're starting from a very bad place. So Carla Nemeth at DWR, I wish I could remember exactly what her quote was, but it was something along the lines of, she has none doubt that unless we have a good wet winter, we will see some drought mitigation measures from the state along the lines of things we've never seen before. So it was, they were very clearly deeply concerned about what next year is going to be.
Maybe she means there won't be any fish flow.
I mean, she specifically mentioned New Maloney's, just because that's one change that we saw this year, was because Shasta and Oroville and Folsom were so low and so early in the year, having to rely more heavily on New Maloney's this year to maintain fresh water in the Delta, is something we may see again. But those reservoirs are all in pretty bad shape right now. So it was not an uplifting discussion.
Is the fresh water, the Delta, and the water that we need, is that just so we can keep the salt water from intruding further? And does anybody take out the Delta I'm sorry, stupid question, for their drinking water needs? It's a
About
lot.
22 million people.
Okay.
So the big issue with this, they call it the salinity barrier in the Delta, is keeping the salt water away from the pumps that feed the California Aqueduct and the Delta Mendota Canal. And those canals are what go into the Central Valley and then over the Grapevine to Southern California. So if that water were to become salt water, it would cut off those aqueducts.
I guess people better figure out the desalination or something.
On that scale, yeah, that technology doesn't exist yet. That's a huge amount of water that like, so, all the ag in the valley and the urban areas in the valley, in addition to groundwater there. So the ag deliveries have been cut off for the most part this year and will be again next year. So the new Maloney's, the freshwater releases from new Maloney's have been higher than what is, higher than minimum flow. It's not just fish flow. But it's been partly to replace the lack of flow on the Sacramento to maintain that salinity barrier.
Well, we hear about all these draconian measures, threats of measures and all that, but somehow it seems to me that they keep a deaf ear toward people that say, there's a solution, a partial solution to this. Let's just build some dams. I mean, I've been hearing about Sites Reservoir for 10, 15 years. Why is that? Why won't they, acknowledge that we have the water storage system and the distribution system that we have because of some forward-looking people back in the 40s and 50s and beyond? What happened to that vision? What happened to that understanding that you need some storage?
Part of the challenge is the good storage sites are gone. And so finding storage sites where you're still able to realize benefits. So if you were to build another big dam on the Stanislaus, it doesn't actually contribute more water to the watershed because we're already storing as much as we can and utilizing that water as as many times over as we can. Sites is unique because it's off-river storage of on the Sacramento, where there's some potential excess flows that could be diverted into sites and saved for times like this where it really would have been useful. So finding those unique projects though, where the benefit, because obviously the cost is astronomical, and so the benefit outweighing those costs has been part of the challenge. But there are a few projects out there where, strategically located, we really do need additional storage. The process is painfully long.
But what was the year that Shasta Dam was completed? 53, 54, 55, something like that?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
Okay,
Somewhere
but
in
it
that
was
time.
designed to go 18 or 20 feet higher.
Right.
And they've got the inserts in there, say they could raise that dam and essentially double the holding capacity of Shasta Reservoir, Shasta Dam, for minimal expenditure. I don't know, it's just,
Well, I
I'm
think-
gonna move.
Oh, I am. I think.
I know, you're building a house. so
I can't move.
When are you gonna move into it?
Yeah.
Right before I move.
They have all the specs to do that.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be that simple.
Shasta is complicated.
So overregulated, they would have to redo all the specs for millions and millions of dollars to get the same answer of what they already have being able to raise.
Well, and it would flood a whole bunch of new property at the other
Don't
side where the
forget,
dam
don't
is.
forget about the Indians. I mean, the Indians say, no, can't.
Well,
Anyway.
what they've been focusing on lately is even a much smaller dam raise at Shasta. And even that is proving to be extremely complicated.
But we're not gonna be able to solve this problem today.
We need to solve it today.
Yes, sorry, we're just getting through my report. We could go on and on about that topic all day. There was the initial meeting, inaugural meeting, maybe is the right term, of the CPUD, CCWD ad hoc committee. Well, I think more of a meet and greet is probably a better way to put it. We didn't really dig into the issues yet, but it was good to meet some of those folks first and get that ball rolling. I thought just a quick couple of things from the last engineering committee meeting, where there was a lot of discussion. In this meeting in particular, we focused on Copperopolis, brought in field staff to explain some of the issues that we have going on down there, which I think is a practice we will continue in bringing field staff in to interact with the board and hear directly from them.
Well, I was reading that where they were going to be making presentations, and I was going to ask you if we could just expand that to the board, because we'd love to, and it would be good for, our staff too.
Yeah, so we're gonna find both in the field and also I think admin services staff, and trying to bring staff in general and more exposure to the board, I think is something we're gonna work on. That was a really detailed presentation diving into a lot of issues in copper, and there are a lot of issues in copper. I don't think the board members, the engineering committee members have slept well since that meeting, but it's, once you start looking under the hood, you can't unlook it. So, but we also talked about updating the district's construction standards, something staff's put a lot of work into over a long period of time, updating the district's construction standards.
Oh, okay.
So that's.
Because I think we got something, didn't we?
Yeah,
Got it.
and so that's out there. So
Got a new book.
it was a overdue effort at modernizing and updating those construction standards. So just a lot of good stuff that went on in the engineering committee. A lot of good discussion.
Before you go on.
Yes.
The engineering report that we got from Copperopolis was really kind of earth shaking a little bit to me, because repeatedly throughout the presentation, they're talking about this devices, mechanisms, equipment that's 25 years old and it's obsolete. And so I asked the question, okay, we got a big 600 kilowatt generator down there that's 25 years old and it's obsolete. How many hours does it have on it? Okay, in 25 years, it has accumulated a total of 800 hours. There's 2,080 hours in the work week in a year. So, I mean, it should have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours on it to be considered worn out. I mean, it's a Caterpillar diesel engine, it would run forever. But because of the California Air Resources Board, it's going to have to be replaced. And it just drives me insane.
And you've been saying that story for a long time.
Have I said it too often?
Uh-huh.
Are you getting tired of hearing?
Well,
It's just.
CARB, I think, will eventually drive that. There are also just age and maintenance issues with some of our generators. That's what's prompting a lot of the replacements right now. But yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about the clean fleets rule. It's going to change our truck fleet, including heavy trucks. And the district is going to look a lot different 10 years from now because of CARB.
We've just done our trucks, remember? We just went through the whole process to.
We're gonna have to go through them again. Yeah.
Has it been that long?
Well, the new solution will be that our electric trucks will tow generators so that they could have the generator running as it's going down the road. Huh?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So real quick touch and base just to remind everybody about PSPS events, knock on wood, we haven't had any yet. There's one going on this week but farther north, so we were not affected by it. But this is October and November is when we've seen the bulk of our PSPS events over the last couple of years. So we're moving into that season, so refresh the gas in your generators. But our staff are really, really well prepared for it. So.
If I can make a sort of funny comment on that, where I live, we've had several outages. And PG will not turn power back on until they check all the lines. So one day I was home and I hadn't realized that helicopters go over So Road. And they've hired private helicopters. There's no PG&E or no CHP. And me and the AT&T internet guy got a little scared when it was over. It was like right above us. I felt like I could reach out and touch it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, they're looking for a place to land. You know, I was freaking out, and this guy was too. So I ended up calling, and then ultimately a half hour later, PG&E does their little robo call saying, hey, by the way, we've done this. And I'm like, oh my God, it was just so eerie. So they do have a lot of private ones out there that aren't marked, and don't get scared.
They have to put eyes on the whole circuit.
I mean, they were
Re-energize it.
I don't know how they came down in between my trees to see this line. I was like, I thought for sure they're looking for a place to land. There's just one spot right there. What if they crash and you gotta run from the blades? It was so stupid. It was stupid, but I hadn't been that scared, just kind of going. And plus the guy that was there with me, he was just as scared as I was. So anyhow, they have a lot of helicopters out now. It's not Cal Fire or anything like that. It was weird.
Yeah, so the standby for hopefully minimal, but standby for PSPS events. Quick update on the Redwood Tank project. Unfortunately, we have seen another delay in supply chain. So the steel for tank 8, which was the first tank that was slated to be replaced, is on hold.
On hold.
Yeah, so we're still going to try to get it done before the snow flies this year. That's the goal, is to knock that one out. But we're kind of at the mercy of the supply chain. So. Lastly, this is the month to sign up for aqua committees for the next 2-year session. So if you're interested in any aqua committees, you have to get your applications in by the end of this month.
If you're already on an aqua committee,
You have to reapply.
oh, okay.
It's all, they refresh it every 2 years. They're saying, as of now, they're still saying the conference will be in person in the fall. So hopefully it stays that way.
Okay,
That's all I have.
nice. Thank
Michael,
you.
before you fold up there, did you have anything to say about Mia O'Connell's report from 2 days ago?
Not specifically about that report. Jessica and I had a call with Mia this morning, just checking in on the different tasks that we're working with her on. And she will be participating as a regular guest now to the Legal Affairs Committee meeting in 2 weeks. So we have, still pursuing federal funding for Copper Cove projects, and giving her an update on the stuff on the Bureau side for New Maloney's. And then we talked a lot about other infrastructure funding. It sounds like absolute chaos back there right now.
I bet.
Is that a good summary of what her update was? There's just 5 different overlapping major efforts right now, and any one of them is ambitious, and trying to get all 5 of them done in the next week is going to be interesting. So.
Oh, well.
All right, done with Michael.
Mhm.
Happy birthday. You have anything to report?
Oh, are we on board reports?
We're on board reports, information, future agenda items.
First of all, I would like to give Scott his birthday card.
Happy birthday,
And
Scott.
I want you to know that I wrote this on a Post-it so that you can.
That's hilarious. I'll read the cards.
Someone else will be getting
I
this
love
card later
that.
on this year.
I love
I'll
it.
give you,
Well,
give
yes.
you your Christmas card.
He is retired.
I can't afford envelopes anymore.
I think that's a great budget saving technique. Let's make note of that.
Heck, yeah, we have to.
Same card for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm not the
Thank you,
only
everybody.
one.
No, appreciate the birthday wishes.
Okay. I'm sure, I hope, or I'm guessing that everybody got this, Dear Calaveras County Neighbor. This is from the Calaveras Local Fire Protection Committee out of Valley Springs. Did everybody get one?
I don't think I did.
Wow, they're asking you for money to finance them. because they give you a story about.
Sounds like they're asking you, Muff.
Exactly.
I didn't get one.
No, they said countywide, and the person that signed this was Dana Nichols, who's the chairman of this Calaveras Local Fire Protection Committee. This is to supplement the other
I know Dana.
fire. Yeah, we all know Dana.
Yeah.
He's from your area.
Dana whom?
Nichols?
No, he lives right here.
No, I thought he was up there. Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, I'll give this to Michael so that you could see what.
I don't have any money.
Yeah. In fire protection.
Might have been checked.
Okay. Okay. All right. My note, one of my notes was, with no rain, why hasn't the state called for a stricter water usage? And this is coming from some of my, our customers. They're saying, why aren't we doing something more? You know, I mean, they could certainly save more water or conserve more water, but it's still 15%.
It's still 15% and it's still, as of now, it's still voluntary. They are making an effort because the mandatory cutbacks last time were extremely contentious. And, you know, I don't know how effective. And so they're really trying to make a go at a different approach. But that was sort of one of the topics of discussion recently was, you know, water agencies, we need you to help us. If this isn't successful, then we may have to revert back to mandatory.
Because they're certainly doing everything they can to scare us to death. How many rivers do you see before and how it is now? You know, how many lakes they're showing you before and how it is now? So we're all scared. I am. I mean.
Yeah, it is a severe drought, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, Eva's Pass is quiet. Okay, aren't we, David?
Yes.
All right, Scott, do you have anything?
Yeah, last week we did have the ad hoc CPUD, CCWD
Yeah, he's looking at me.
meeting.
Hey, I had my.
But there was, but don't worry, one of the CPUD directors wasn't able to make it as well, but I did suggest that we do that. We're not going to meet every single month, but suggested that we put it on our calendar for next month so that we can have the full effect. I mean, four board members and they're in the process of selecting or interviewing for their new general manager. Actually, I think that last week they were going to announce one, but because they've been through interviews, but I think they had a big change. Something happened. One of them dropped out of the two, and then there was some problem or some question about the other one. So they're going back to the drawing
Can we
board.
try and do that, like where it's the second Friday of the month or whatever? You know, pick whatever that day is. It's a little.
Well, we're not going to
easier
meet
for
once
me.
a month. We're just going to meet once. Well, we'll decide then as a group, but I think we decided that we didn't need to meet that often. We just needed to meet. I mean, I think maybe 4 times a year would be good. Once a quarter maybe, or 6 times a year.
And just to clarify, as it's currently structured right now as an ad hoc committee, it's got a lifespan of 1 year.
Right.
Okay.
So, and then we can reassess at that point what the future structure should be.
But if we could put something on our calendar to
Yeah,
get in touch
absolutely.
with.
And just remember, I'm
Mr.
out from the
Kingsbury.
14th and not returning until the 3rd until October
Let's try
14th through the
to do one
3rd.
before you leave, maybe.
I would be glad to do that.
Okay. And then the only other thing I have is we have a Mountain County Zoom meeting this month. Friday, this coming Friday. Other than that, I think that's all I have to, and just another quick reminder that the October 27th, it's a Wednesday, the Mountain Counties is having their and well, they're not really an inaugural, it's ongoing events, but the first event they had in a couple of years, a lot of great speakers.
And we have to RSVP for that.
Yeah, tickets are on sale. I think everyone should have got a link to the brown bag ticket
I'll be on.
for the event.
Yeah, we'll have a
I
few
can see
staff
it, yeah.
members there and we'll coordinate
Brought
board,
it up a while ago.
rescheduling the board meeting.
Okay.
That's on the 27th, you said?
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Can we
Yeah.
ride together?
October
Do
27th.
anything you want to.
Two of you can.
Sure.
You
Oh, we
think?
can behave ourselves better than that.
Yes.
If it's more than two, Matt has to go with you.
What are you doing on the 27th?
All right, is that it, Scott?
Yes, yes.
All right, Russ, Mr. Thomas.
You said that you're leaving on the 14th and coming back?
Yep, I am not available from the 14th and I'll be back in town on the 3rd. Unless something comes up, I am flexible to stay longer if I have to. But right now I will be in town on the 3rd of November.
Okay. So, this doesn't have anything to do with my report, but, I'm just curious about the meeting in, October.
27th.
Jeff is going to be gone in October too. I mean,
Yeah,
And if I can, I plan on calling in remotely if we can still do that.
Yeah, we can.
so
Somebody else-
the October 27th meeting will, at a minimum, it will be rescheduled.
Okay,
Depending on what happens between now and then, we may just try to cancel it. But if we need to have a board meeting, it would just be, it might be the Tuesday before.
Because
I'd
there
re-
was a statement made about Zoom meetings being, disbanded for,
We can still do them.
No, the
Uh,
executive
we still
board-
have.
So we will have a resolution at the next board. We have to adopt a resolution to continue to do it. But the governor signed the legislation that allows us to continue to do it during state declared disasters,
oh, okay.
which we
All
are
right.
still.
Then I misread that, all right.
I'd like to make a suggestion that our last meeting took place after canceling a meeting and we ended up being here till 6 o'clock from 1 till 6 almost. I'd like to see us reschedule it as opposed to cancel it if we can.
Yeah, I
Otherwise,
mean,
that's gonna
it
happen.
always varies. There's sometimes where, there's not enough to justify it and then the next meeting still is okay. That one was a long one.
We are gonna do that in November and December anyway. I don't think
That's
we can
right.
do it in October too.
Right. So I think right now, what we've looked at, the Tuesday before looks pretty open. But we'll pull the board as that gets
That'd be the
closer.
day before or
The day before.
Okay.
And I'll pretty much be available anything if I can remotely.
Great.
Okay, that was, actually, I look at my calendar here, I don't have anything to report, sadly.
Oh. All right, my turn.
We heard you talk. So
That
now
was
it's-
good.
But you had to talk anyway, huh?
Yes. All right.
Hey, Jeff.
All right, back to me. No. So, no IRWM for September. And I did a tour with Michael, Damon, and Jessica yesterday of my district over in West Point, and that was really nice. And we all agree it was the best board tour ever. Sorry, Russ. Yeah, just, I learned some stuff and it was very interesting. So I look forward to going to the river and then also Sheep Ranch and Indian Rock and Vallecito in the near future, hopefully before I leave. And I was wondering, does anybody have any thought if they'd like to put it on the agenda, maybe the finance meeting? When I see all these, all these papers that we get, there's a lot of them. We do a lot of printing. We do a lot of mailing. This mail was $8.50. Would it be beneficial if the board got, say, like iPads type thing and we could sit here and be looking at our stuff instead of all this, all the way, why are you guys all laughing? Because we talked about this
This
before.
has been a topic of discussion in the past, but it has recently come up again a couple of times. There's a lot of reasons why that makes a lot of sense.
Well,
And so it really, we're gonna bring it back to the board. Not only that, but also using CCWD email addresses and
That
having
was the next thing.
devices that are supported by CCWD is something that we.
But it had to be a fairly good size. I even have a 10-inch one and it's kind of small, but you know, you guys will own them, we'll just
What
use
is, what
them.
is your?
Yeah, the cost of laptops now is not,
Yeah.
prohibitive. So I think we could do that, and that way we can load it and support it and make sure.
There's our email, communication. We can
And
look at
especially
all
with remote meetings,
remote meetings.
having all that dialed in is,
So shall we agendize that? Do you want that finance?
we're
or
already
next-
working on it. We'll bring it back.
Oh,
We
well.
already have email addresses that are
And then-
already established.
and
It's
then
just a matter of activating them and.
And if we do that, I wouldn't want any paper. You know, it could save a lot.
It costs the district $26.80 to send my agenda package.
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
Mine's 26.
Okay, well, we're all on the same page. I like that.
You can always opt out of that. Those are available to you online already.
And I look
So
at them online always
can-
first, but when I'm here, I like to make notes, but you know, if I had a laptop, that's what a scratch pad is for, you know, $1.80 and you can use it multiple times. So.
So
okay.
that is like I said, we haven't supplied the board with devices, but the agenda packet, the whole packet is available online.
Yeah, and I also look at.
I've printed it out a number of times too. and
Yeah.
You like the
printer
hard
always
copies.
starts
So-
smoking, so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just like even in presentations, sometimes it's hard for me to see if we could have it here. That would be really nice.
We started talking about this at least 7 years ago.
So can
It was
we
brought up 7
have
years
it on the
ago.
agenda for some type of an
we-
approval? And do we have the
We're
funds
talking
for
about
that?
that.
We do. Yeah, I don't even
Years
think
ago.
it would necessarily need
Well, we
it.
do it sooner
They
than
didn't
later.
have computers back.
Okay.
Before I leave, I'm just kidding. I have one I could use, but,
Uh,
okay, well, that's it for,
Get it
It's
done.
really dragging.
no, it's not. It's been a really good show.
She really enjoyed being president.
You know, it's probably better that I don't know in advance. It's if I'm just,
You
here
know.
it is, and then, oh my goodness. Anyhow, okay, next board meeting is Wednesday, October 13th and Wednesday, October 27th. Any other comments? All right, meeting adjourned.
Oh, closed session.
It's not.
But it's not here.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I knew I saw it on my thing. I'm so sorry, we're not.
You can get another piece of
Oh, you
cake,
know what?
have
I
some
put
coffee.
it right, and I was gonna say something, because I've been looking at my agenda online, I'm thinking, I thought we had a
Oh,
closed
where's
session.
Damon?
Okay, so, back to, we're not closing the meeting. Item number 10, closed session, conference with real property negotiators, government code 54956.8. And property APN 055-051-008, agency negotiators, Michael Minkler and Damon Whitecroft. Am I just talking too much? I don't know.
Because we know what it says.
But I was saying it for the public.
I know, it only requires me to say I just didn't.
Okay, items 10A and TV. And we're going into closed session at 2:55. Okay,
Good job.
so,
Good job.
so you guys, in the future, if I know about this, I want to go on the phone, you know, look at it and say,